This week's episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast is proudly brought to you by Lifetime Decoys. Lifetime Decoys has set the new standard in decoy rigging equipment. Their signature patent-pending designs use PVC-coated steel cable to prevent rust and corrosion, allow virtually zero line memory while providing UV resistance, incredible strength, and durability. Unlike monofilament, steel cable won't coil up and tangle with other lines because of excessive line memory. Their swivels and clips are made with high-quality stainless steel, and aluminum fails are hydraulically pressed, providing unsurpassed strength. These materials combine to form the strongest, longest-lasting, and most tangle-proof decoy rigging equipment on the market today, and they're the only manufacturer who offers a warranty for 3 years as well as a money-back satisfaction guarantee. Check out Lifetime Decoys today. You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast, episode 98. This week on the show, we got something new. We're coming live from Dan's house for the first time, and we talk a little bit about what went wrong for us on our early season opener. Welcome to the 98th episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast. We are your on-demand audio source for all things waterfowl and waterfowl hunting. You can check us out at hpoutdoors.com. You can find us across all of the social media platforms out there, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find us across all the podcast catchers across the internet, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, whatever your podcast distributor of choice is, you can find our show there. Joining me this week as I'm sitting in his living room for the first time to record an episode is my co-host Dan Harushka. Dan, what's up, man?
Real Phil 91. We're both sweating through our shirts.
Yeah.
If you hear some random, weird, wet-sounding stuff, it's probably just...
That's gross.
just wiping the sweat off my upper lip because it's so hot.
Yeah, it's warm. It's warm in here, but it's cool to be recording together for the first time, and we're doing a lot of firsts on this episode, so we're excited to talk a little bit about that. Before we get too far down the road, I want to just take a minute to thank the sponsors of this week's show, Gunner Kennels, engineered for your dog, designed for travel, and built for your peace of mind. The G1 Kennel has set a new industry standard and has put Gunner Kennels in a category it's all its own. Gunner Kennels was started to protect your pet, and it continues to be at the center of everything that they do. Gunner Kennels are dedicated to building the safest pet travel crate on the market. Man's best friend deserves man's best kennel. Check out their G1 series of kennels and accessories at www.gunnerkennels.com. Also this week, we've got Decoy Carts LLC. Decoy Carts is the proud manufacturer of the Honker Hauler Decoy Cart. This cart can readily transport all your decoys, guns, blinds, and gear needed into the field or public refuge in one trip. The Honker Hauler is collapsible, it's lightweight, and has a carrying capacity for over 54 cubic feet. Capacity enough for 6 dozen full-body goose decoys, shell decoys, duck decoys, or snow goose socks. The large, rugged, 26-inch, 300-pound rated wheels readily roll across the field in rough terrain with 13 inches of clearance. Pull 2 pins and the cart folds flat into a 4x5x1 convenient field concealment size. Great for your truck bed or long-term storage. Follow Decoy Carts on Instagram or Facebook, or give Eric a call or a text at 406-788-9361. Also, thank you to 737 Duck and Goose Calls. Original design, select grade components, superior sound, and unparalleled service. 737 takes exceptional pride in producing the finest quality, best-built premium calls on the market today. They're made in America, and they're offered only direct-to-consumer from their website. Shipping in the U.S. is always free. International orders are also now accepted online. A 20-day money-back guarantee and a lifetime warranty accompany every call purchased. 737 Duck Calls lead the flock. Also want to take just a brief minute to thank Big Al Silhouette Decoys, Camp Chef, Black Rifle Coffee Company, Native Eyewear, and Yukonuba. Thank you to the companies that support this week's episode of the show, and please help them out in any way that you can. An additional way that you can get some help is by the discount codes that we were able to obtain for the listeners of our show. You can head to the HP Outdoors website, check out the discounts page, and you can find out how you can save 10% off at Dunn Sporting Goods, 15% off with Black Rifle Coffee Company, 10% off with White Rock Decoys, 15% off with 737 Duck and Goose Calls, 15% off of Alpha Dog Nutrition, And new to our stable of discounts is 10% off of Gunner Kennels. So definitely head over there, check it out while you're there. Stop by the HP store, check out the hats that we've got on the store currently, and we've got some new stuff heading your way there. Our stickers and barrel decals and some other new stuff as far as merchandise is being reviewed currently, and we're excited to get that back up and running. But here we are, Dan, man. First time recording together,
weird.
just staring at your beard in person. It's a new experience. I'm not sure like if I should gaze into your eyes while talking or if I should like look around the room. Is too much eye contact weird? Like, what do we do?
I don't know. I think most of the time when the Giggle Fest starts, like I'll usually back away from the mic, but now you'll be able to see it. So if we just go into like a full out laugh session here, it is what it is, I guess. Yeah. Have you ever seen those little tennis rackets? I have one sitting right over there.
The Energized one where you swat flies with it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about to go grab it.
You got a fly situation?
This one fly just keeps buzzing me.
Oh yeah, no, he's on me now too. That's unfortunate.
Maybe I have two because there's one there too.
So let's talk a little bit about what we got going on this week. Made the trip up here from Virginia to hunt the goose season opener with you and our buddy Matt and a bunch of other good friends that I think we had 8 or 9 guys in the blind the first day, and we put our Tango free blinds to use for the first time, and unfortunately the birds didn't really cooperate with us, and we didn't even pull the trigger, unfortunately, but we still had a blast, and we got to use those blinds, and we got to use some new gear that we've purchased recently to try out some new stuff on the show.
Yeah, that'll be the main section of this show. We have, 30 or 40 minutes of driving around afterwards, which we'll have a disclaimer before we go to that.
Yeah, I mean, Dan's got big knobby tires on his truck, and I couldn't talk him into taking the van, so we were in the truck after the hunt recording, immediate kind of thoughts and takeaways and talk a little bit about the blinds and how those worked out for us, but you can hear road noise in the background, and it's not like we're sitting in a controlled environment. So we're going to run that this week just sort of as a test to see what you guys think. So we're interested to hear your feedback. I will, as Dan talked about with the disclaimer, I will say that if you're listening in headphones at work and stuff like that, the repetitive, 30 minutes of road noise might wear you down a little bit over time. So, we're learning with that equipment and trying new stuff, but hopefully you guys like that. And then hopefully we'll have some more content that we might be able to bring out and release possibly midweek, fingers crossed, and have a little bit more stuff. I don't want to totally roll the
yeah, and we are going to throw this one out there. The road noise might be an issue, but we were talking when we go out to Kansas, we're probably going to be riding around with some different guides other than Ben, and to talk to them just about kind of how they got into it and what they do and look for and everything. So if we get good feedback on it, then we'll bring episodes like that to you while we're out there. And I really don't think it's that bad, but like you said, in a headset or something, it might get a little old. But I don't think it's too bad. I think the audio is still good. There's just a constant hum, but I think it's easier to listen to than a bad cell phone that you can't hear anything.
Well, regardless, we'll put it out. We'll see what everybody thinks. And, this has been a little bit harder than what we probably had anticipated coming up here this weekend, because we're both, we got a couple hunts that we're getting in, but we've both, you've got family coming into town. I've got my family here. So between spending time with them, getting some hunts in, and, not just leaving my wife and kid at home and saying like, hey, hang out with my folks while I go,
right,
make HP content. We're kind of trying to balance it. So we want to use that stuff from the truck, and we've already recorded it. So I think part of the challenge of today is going to be not repeating everything that we talked about on that recording.
Yeah, we put a lot of feels into that. Pretty much just you ride home, what you would usually talk about and what you think you could have done different, or things that make you mad, or things that you enjoyed about it. So,
right. I mean, that whole saying, after every hunt, there's that, I don't know what anyone else calls it, but I call it we should have killed this many birds talk, where it's like, yeah, we took this many, but we would have killed this many if we had done this or if we had done that. So, we just kind of hot washed the hunt a little bit, and unfortunately it wasn't much about shooting or calling or anything like that. It's more about, things out of your control and, the blinds. We spent a good bit of time talking about, using the tangle-free panel blinds and that kind of stuff. So
I think what's cool too about putting the info out on that hunt is to let people know, like, we're just two regular dudes that aren't on guided hunts every time and you know, crushing limits. Like, this happens, and we know it happens to everyone out there. Not saying that guides are never have it happen, because I'm sure that they do too, but you know, you're not more or less guaranteed a great hunt when you do that. So it was something different, but it seems to be becoming more of the regular around this area lately, with people just doing what happened. So I'll leave some of that out. But what we're going out tomorrow, which is Monday, Labor Day.
Yep.
It's a big day.
It is a big day.
It's a monumental day.
Yeah. I mean,
so what do we got going here?
So, you know, tomorrow, I talked about it a good bit on the show, but my son has been kind of wishy-washy on whether he wanted to hunt or, you know, come out in the field or anything like that. And I finally got him to commit to coming tomorrow. And it's going to be an interesting hunt because the group that we're hunting with has quite a few guys going to be in the field this tomorrow, like 9 to 11 guns. I'm thinking something in that range. So the property that we're on has a couple different fields that we might be able to work to our advantage. But essentially, I'm really concerned about having my son in his first hunt in the field with, you know, 13 or 14 guns, including us. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up in a different part of the property and hope to be able to pull some birds off, or, you know, get someone that gets shot at, because they've never been shot at in this field. So we're hoping that some of them will just maybe give us a look. And regardless, if we don't pull the trigger, just seeing it and kind of experiencing it will be okay for what I want to accomplish at a minimum out of tomorrow's hunt, which is not ruining my son's hunting experience forever. And, you know, hopefully he'll have fun and get a feel. And if we can shoot a couple birds, that's cool. But, you know, if he gets to experience the excitement of having us calling and working birds and seeing them fly around us, you know, I think that would be a win as well. So he, you know, he's getting excited. He's asked me to go spotting 2 nights in a row now. So we went spotting last night and, you know, saw some deer, and he was counting how many deer we saw. We saw a possum. We saw an owl. Actually, this is funny. We're driving down the road, and an owl comes out of the tree, flies like head onto my truck, and scoops a mouse off the road like 10 yards in front of my truck.
Really?
And then lights in a tree limb right on the side of the road. So we stop and throw the light on him. He is just mowing down this mouse. Got it hanging out of his mouth and everything. So my kid thought that was super cool.
Did he like bite it in half or just crush a hole?
No, he bit it and then used his claw and like ripped it. Yeah, he was pretty savage.
I saw a hawk pick up a snake yesterday, right off the side of the road, and it was fairly deep grass, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, well, this was in the middle of the night. I mean, you know, there was no light other than my headlights coming up the road, so it was pretty impressive. But my kid thought that was cool.
Sweet.
And then he fell asleep. You know, shortly after that, which I can remember as a kid going deer spotting and falling asleep all the time. So, but he wants to go again tonight. So, you know, I think this trip getting up here and kind of showing him a little more outdoor lifestyle has been good for him compared to what we're able to get back home. And, you know, I'm hoping to continue that with the hunt and hopefully have a good experience overall, because, I mean, this is a pivotal point. I mean, think about it. You know, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot more things that can go wrong on a kid's first hunt that can go right, in my opinion, because he still is young to understand a lot of concepts, but he's not too young to understand things that scare him. So, like, if you scare him with too many guns or something that's, you know, whatever, you know, I don't want to ruin him. And again, it's not like he lives in an area where everyone does this. I mean, we're the outcasts in our area. I mean, we're in the small minority of people that hunt and fish, and, well, not fish, but hunt and live an outdoor lifestyle like that. Most people, when you say outdoor lifestyle where I'm from, they associate that with backpacking and like hiking. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. Pretty excited about it. Win, lose, or draw tomorrow. It's going to be a day that I'll, you know, definitely remember.
So how do you, because we're, like he said, we're probably going to be in a different field than where the majority of the guns are and where the actual X is, where these birds are landing. So we're going to have the panel blinds set up again, which will give him enough room to mess around if he needs to mess around and, just relax. And I could see you being kind of in the middle, him being on the other side of me, or like opposite, whatever. And I don't know. I don't want to say I'll be the first shooter, but it might be better for you to see his reaction on it. And
yeah, I think the first opportunity that we have, I'm not going to lift my gun.
Yeah.
We're just gonna, I'm just gonna kind of hang on to him, make sure that he's good and sees what's going on. And if hopefully you shoot one, maybe I'll send him out, see if he'll grab it.
Bird dog.
If not, I'll help him out, kind of thing. But he's never been exposed to gunfire. Like I've never had him at the gun range or anything like that.
Yeah.
So this will be the first time, and I've got hearing protection for him and things like that. So we'll play it by ear. But another little potential for this hunt tomorrow is we may have Pennsylvania Toe Tap with us.
We might have Toe Tap.
And if anyone doesn't know who Toe Tap is, check out the Making a Waterfowl Hunter video or episode that we had a couple weeks back with our buddy Travis. Toe Tap is Trav's dad, and he was kind of sort of like a mentor figure to me as well growing up, and spent a lot of time hunting with him and all that kind of stuff too. So it'd be pretty cool if he was able to come and shoot a few birds as well. But
we're gonna have to mic him up because he's gonna tell stories the entire time.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I don't know how we're gonna do that, but we'll have to figure out something, I guess.
I hope he comes.
Yeah.
Even just have him mic'd up.
You know what? I'm going to text him right now. Does he text?
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. Let me text him right now and see if he wants to go hunting tomorrow. And if he's interested, we'll know right here on the show if he's going to be there.
That'd be funny. He has more stories. Oh, and you know that he's going to tell elk stories the entire time because he'll be going out to Colorado here shortly.
Oh yeah, they're leaving Wednesday to go out to Colorado, so
yeah.
he'll be talking elk. That's something crazy.
Yep.
But so, how does this make you feel, knowing that Dub D is 4 years younger than my son? Like to the day oddly enough they share the same birthday, which is
May 21st. Yeah, really 4 year difference.
Yeah. How does it make you feel, kind of seeing it play out with me?
It's exciting, and I'm excited just to see how Taylor responds tomorrow, and just hoping everything goes well, even if we don't shoot at all, and just letting him hear it, because we're going to be calling. The birds are going to be around, and I say that, but we just had our first.
Yeah, and one thing's important, I think that's good to know about this hunt is that for 2 days in a row, these birds have been hitting this field, and I believe they're getting there like before 8 o'clock.
Yep.
So, we'll get out there. He'll have fun setting up. We'll make that a game. I'll bring him something to eat, that kind of stuff. And then hopefully we'll have action pretty quick.
Yep.
And that'll hopefully keep him engaged.
We'll make him move, decoys, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Now, does he watch any kind of hunting shows at home?
Yeah, he's seen The Grind and DUTV and stuff. So, he understands what's happening.
Yeah.
My only concern, I've killed turkeys and deer and stuff that he's held, and I'll never forget when I killed my first turkey, or not my first turkey, but the first turkey that he saw. He was like opening the beak and thought it was really cool, like just touching it and all that kind of stuff. But again, he just hasn't been exposed to gunfire close by.
Right.
So.
And that ear protection. What kind of ear protection you got?
I think I got him. Well, I've got a couple different ones. I ordered some. I think they're Howard Lights or whatever that's called off of Amazon, but they don't fit him that great. So I've got the sportier
the muffs
that fit him good. Yeah, he's going to be wearing muffs that are, got the noise canceling, so we can talk, and then it'll cancel out.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Gunfire.
That should be good.
He should be in good shape.
Yeah, that's all you're going to hear.
Yeah, and we've talked about it, so he knows that he's going to hear it, but that it won't be something that hurts his ears or anything like that. So, but my kid's one of those things. He's one of those types where if you say something ahead of time and tell him, he'll be over dramatic about it and say his ears hurt.
Yeah.
So where if I didn't mention it and just put the mouth on him, he'd probably be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm overthinking it, and a lot of guys out there are probably listening to this thinking, Are you kidding me? Like, this is white glove treatment and all this kind of stuff. And, I get it. When I grew up, it was not like this at all. First gun I pulled a trigger on was the 30-30 deer rifle. And it's just different times now. I mean, the kid he's more sensitive. Like, he's more dramatic and maybe I was that way when I was a kid, but I don't remember being like that.
Right.
But, for me,
but you grew up around it too.
Exactly. So like for me, and maybe I'm being a little over cautious with him, but there's just too much at risk for me to screw it up. You know what I mean? Like if we do this and he never wants to go hunting again, like, we're going to look back on this day and I screwed the pooch on that one. So
I get home after our hunt Saturday and Sadie's like, Dad, where are your gooses at? Mm-hmm. And I said, honey, we didn't get any. But they're easy to kill. And I was like, well, not when there's none around. And she's like, oh, well, you're better at killing deer anyways. I said, oh, thank you. But she's...
and she's not the anti, right?
No. Kelly's my anti-hunting daughter.
Oh, that's funny.
No, she just has way too many feels. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Sadie's ready. I think she'd probably go out in the blind tomorrow and want to hold a gun.
Yeah.
She's funny.
My son wanted to get a slingshot to shoot, like, at the birds when they come in.
I wonder if I have one.
Because I told him that he couldn't bring, like, his neon orange Nerf rifles. Like, no, those are going to stay at home. So, but, yeah, I think it'll be fun. I held his feet to the fire today because he was kind of wishy-washy on whether we were going to go. And we were planning, and if he wasn't going to go, we were just going to go get in the big field with everybody.
Yeah.
But now that I was like, we need to know now. Like, if you say yes now, like, I'm waking up tomorrow, like, we're going. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. I was like, all right, cool. So.
What kind, does he need, like, a booster seat or something?
Yeah, he rides it like a booster. So.
Can we hook that in pretty quick?
Yeah, I mean, it basically just sits in there, but we might be able to take my truck tomorrow. We'll have to see. Because I'll just make my wife go with my mom if they need to go somewhere. Because we're not going to hunt that long because we got to come back and get on the road and drive home 5-6 hours.
Yep. And
go back to work and school on Tuesday, so.
Yeah, that's another mix that we have because our kids are going to pre-K, or our girls are starting Wednesday because they're going Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So my wife had to take them up and get some new, I don't even know what they're getting, new backpacks and stuff like that.
School supplies, bro.
Not used to it. Used to babysitter.
Yeah, man. Times are changing, bro. You gotta get ready for parent-teacher conferences and all that nonsense.
All right. Well, what do you think about throwing in?
Well, I think before we roll into our fresh from the blind discussion, I think it probably makes sense to talk a little bit about the giveaway because we're getting danger close to that. So I'm going to log on to here and just see kind of how we're looking. But I know guys I'm still seeing people getting in there sharing and, we're still getting emails about asking if their stuff is all good to go or whatever. Yep. So I know guys are still out there working it, getting their stuff in.
I'm getting a lot of DMs. So if you're still having any kind of issues, I can see what you've gotten credit for. So when you send me your message if something's not working, make sure you include your email because that's how I'll look you up, and then I can respond with what you got credit for and go from there. So it kind of helps out. It helps me just go right to it, and then I can send you a screenshot or something like that. So
my question to you is, should I let the cat out of the bag on what the number of who has not the person, but the number of entries the number one person has?
Sure.
So the number one person right now, as I'm looking at this at 4:25 on Sunday afternoon,
it's probably maxed out too,
has 341 entries. It's a lot of entries for one person. But yeah, so I mean, there's people out there hustling, getting shares and stuff like that, and quite a few entrants in there too. I'm kind of surprised at the number, frankly.
Yeah.
But anyway, a couple weeks left on that, 13 days until it ends, so not a lot of time, but keep with it, hang in there, and 2 episodes from now, we're going to be...
I think we have one more prize to go in.
We do?
Yep.
All right.
once I'm supposed to get it in the mail. So once I get it in the mail, I'll put it up with.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm
value.
not 100% sure. Actually, I'm not sure I know, actually. We'll talk offline. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll roll into our time in the truck. This is immediately following our hunt on Saturday morning, and we'll talk a little bit about our experience and kind of what we took away from that hunt, and we'll kind of wrap up the episode here on the other side. Well, unfortunate opening day here for us in Pennsylvania. We're heading out of the field 10 o'clock. And we didn't even pull the trigger today, Dan. What happened, man?
Well, we kind of knew going in that this area has been just slammed with people lately, and let me fix my seatbelt. We're driving out of the field, so...
Yeah, this is a new technique we're trying out. We got some new equipment we're testing, so we're going to be driving home from the field. So this is kind of like, our quick reaction to what we saw and experienced today. And hopefully everyone did a little better than us, but...
Yeah, we didn't pull the trigger. It sounded like someone shot the roost with one shot.
Yeah. It definitely sounded like somebody was sent there to shoot just enough to bust them off of there right at about legal shooting time.
Yeah.
Because it was just one lone shot, and birds got up, and we weren't on the X to begin with. We kind of knew that, but there was another group that was going to be on the X, and we were hoping to be able to pick off birds that would, that they would bust out and stuff like that. But the big majority of the birds that we were hoping to be able to do that with, when they got busted off the roost, flew the opposite direction of where we were hunting. So basically a lot of birds that we expected to see, we just never saw today. It was a pretty quiet morning in the sky, and it's, as we were walking out, I think one of the first times we can remember taking a goose egg on an opening day.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. They definitely went, we were high enough to where anything flying high would have been able to see us. Anything incoming, going out, unless it was directly opposite of where we were at, and that's exactly what happened. So there's a good run, a good valley there that they fly up and down, and that's kind of what they did. They were down below us, never got up to see where we were at, and that's about that. Didn't shoot, didn't even
come close to shooting.
Usually, it's funny because we wanted to do this in the blind, and I kept asking Josh, "Do you want to start recording?" He's like, "What do you want to talk about?" And then we kind of decided maybe after the first volley or so, we'd get it out and start talking, and you could hear calling and stuff like that. But I didn't even put my calls around my neck.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see how the first birds reacted, and especially after being shot, sometimes you can call them out of your spread rather than being quiet and just going after it that way. So I held off and never got my calls out of my bag.
Well, and I think, one of the frustrating things about the early season is that you can spend all the time you want scouting and patterning. I mean, these were resident birds that have been hitting the same fields for weeks on end now. And as soon as you put hunters in fields and guys shoot roosts, I mean, all bets are off. So it's almost like, you got to start scouting all over again and kind of figure out where we were at. And as a good example, the group we were hunting with today, one of the other fields they'd been watching had 8 birds in it for the last several days or a week or better. And they kind of didn't think it would really be worth hunting because, 8 birds, whatever. And they were seeing a group about 300 hit this area that we were hunting today. And sure enough, they get a call, and there's 100 birds hit that field today, where only 8 had been hitting them, the last couple days. So, hopefully, I'm in town for a couple more days, and Monday is Labor Day, so we're going to be able to hunt again before I have to get back on the road. So we're going to watch that field and see what happens there, and kind of play it by ear. I mean, I guess that might be one good thing about not being able to hunt Sundays here in Pennsylvania, is that hopefully they'll try to establish a new pattern, and they'll still be in there on Monday, and we can maybe get on them a little bit.
we'll settle in maybe.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we had set up. Also, this is our first time recording in person together.
Yeah.
So we're not looking at each other, which is probably good because I just start laughing the entire time.
We're just driving in the truck, yeah.
We're driving in the truck, and no, it's cool either way. But so we obviously went with a lot of flags today. Probably could have put more decoys out, but also the groups that they were seeing weren't giant groups. Yeah, there were 300 that were hitting the field, but they were coming in smaller groups. So we kind of had two large family groups, more or less, a couple little randoms in there, and went that route. But the big difference that we did today was we had the 4 panel blinds set out, and instead of having 2 back to back, we had 3 out front because we were in a fence row that had pretty decent backing, and where it was light, we had the 4th panel blind. So how do you feel about that initial use?
I thought it was pretty good. It, concealment wise, it blended in nice, and it's a million times more comfortable than a layout blind. We had 8 guys, 9 guys,
Yeah.
something like that, and we only had, it was kind of, those guys were a little more crunched down and on their side than we were. So we had room for our camera equipment and things like that. So, I was definitely comfortable, but I found myself, standing pretty much the whole time, which I like. You can get up, you're kind of looking around. Where in a layout blind, I feel like I'm sitting on my butt the whole time and it's not quite as comfortable. So I liked that aspect. And we've got the covers.
The toppers,
yeah, for our panel blinds. So those helped a lot. And the thing that we talked about that I really like about those is it gives you a nice ledge to sort of tuck yourself up under when you got birds circling or kind of hovering over top of you, particularly on days like today where we were anticipating most of the birds that we would get to work us had probably just come from a field that they'd been shot into. So we expected them to be a little bit more leery and work our field a little closer. So it was nice to have that, particularly when you're trying to hide that many guys that can kind of get up tight under that cover, and don't have to worry about as much birds over top. And you can brush for that kind of stuff, but it still seems like you always kind of never can get quite enough. And birds immediately over top of you always can kind of be a tough challenge to overcome.
I think one of the bonuses too is we obviously didn't have to implement it today, but when you have newer hunters, they're always peeking out, and not even newer hunters, but I guess newer waterfowl.
Everybody likes to see birds work.
Everyone likes to peek, and with the panel blinds, they have a cutout right in the middle, so you're looking through brush where in a layout usually you get those faces popping out, and you look down the road and someone's totally out of their blind, and you can talk to him about it or whatever, but sometimes that when you're telling an older guy to conceal, sometimes he doesn't always listen, so it's not ideal. So that I really like the panel blinds in that regard.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you always run into. People want to get chippy sometimes in the field. If you're like, hey, cover up, or brush your blind a little better, the panel blind gives sort of that like community brush feel where everyone's brushing the same piece of gear. So they take it less personally if you say, hey, throw a little more, cover on that edge right there, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we were talking, I think that those are a perfect opportunity for people to get, kids or first-time hunters out, because they can fidget around a little more and be comfortable and be close to you and ask questions and all that kind of stuff. And, I'm hopefully getting my son out here on Monday when we go, and I think that that'll be a really good opportunity for him to get exposed to it by using those blinds.
Yeah, and I think especially, it's the first time setting up, and I think we were probably too close to the fence row, especially with the toppers.
Yeah.
We could have given ourselves more room and been fine, I think.
Yeah, it's like everything else. It's a learning experience, and overall, I think it was good. I wish we would have obviously had the opportunity to have to actually flip the toppers down and shoot and all that kind of stuff, but sort of a dress rehearsal, I guess, for getting everything put together, and it overall worked out pretty well. I will say it is nice that they pack down so flat and can be just, kind of carried out of the field pretty easily. So that's definitely a benefit of that setup.
Yeah, so really, I mean, if you have a good fence row or tree row and you're not doubling up back to back,
yeah.
I mean, I have four in the back of my truck right now, and so what? I mean, you could really have 16 people in there.
Yeah, I mean, and not
a lot of space.
And really, where we were hunting would have been an ideal place to do that if we wanted to. We could have, found an area in that fence row that would have worked for that scenario. So yeah, I mean, they're definitely versatile. I don't know if it's the one answer to all problems, but it's definitely a good answer to a lot of problems. So I'm glad we're gonna, incorporate those into the mix this year. And I think one of the other problems we ran into today was that the farmer was out working, and I don't know, maybe I could be off base with this, but I don't think you're going to get a lot of birds to work your spread when he's coming in there spraying poo all over the field that you're hunting in, and pulling up behind the blind and shooting the breeze at the end stuff. So, I think it's safe to say it just wasn't our morning this morning, and that's just the way it goes sometimes. And
it's weird / fun being in our position where we can talk to people all over the country, and they don't have the problems like this. It seems like either there's a lot of birds, or the sole permission. When you get sole permission, it's actually sole permission, where when you get sole permission in PA, that farmer tells you, yeah, you'll be the only one on it, but usually that's not the case. And they give you permission, but then their nephew comes in and they're on the field with
that's the
10
thing.
other guns.
That's the thing. It sounds like that you see the most up here is that you do your scouting, you get permission from the landowner, and then the nephew or somebody in the family takes a look 2 or 3 days before the season and realizes the farm, the field's packed with geese, and they hit them up, and of course they're not going to tell them, oh, I already got some random guy, hunting it. So
Uncle Bob, let me hunt.
So you kind of show up at the same time and kind of have to, manage that or whatever. But, I think even this morning, man, I don't know if the guys who were hunting the X sent somebody down to shoot that roost. I don't know why they would have done that. That wouldn't make any sense. But assuming it wasn't them, even if we were on the X, what had been the X for the last 3 weeks, I think those guys killed 11 birds out of that field. So it's not like they had 11 guns in that field. So it's not like they
killed every bird that went into that field from the text messages back and forth.
Yeah, so it was basically like 2 volleys that they took every bird out of in there, and that was the morning. So,
so those birds shot off the roost and they just scattered.
Yeah, and they just went the opposite direction of where we needed them to, and we didn't hear much shooting close other than just that. So, texting with guys, there were a few areas that got into some birds, but overall, it's not like it's been in the years past. At least this morning wasn't. And, so that's a good or bad thing. It's, bad because it leaves you kind of scratching your head a little bit, but good in the sense that, at least the birds maybe that are working that area primarily didn't get their butt shot off too bad, and might be able to reconcile a little bit here in short order.
They might be able to calm down a little bit, and who knows where those, well, we know where 100 birds went.
Yep.
And that's if we find 100 birds in a field in season, we're hunting that field. So, I mean, Midwestern states, you're looking at fields with 1,000 birds or more or something like that. But, around here, especially early season, you find 100 birds.
Especially early season, you're hunting that spot, no doubt.
So how, you've always put it right out front that you're not a huge fan of early season, and this is exactly why. Because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's a lot of unpredictability right now, and it's frustrating when you do everything right and it just doesn't work out. And of course, that can happen at any time. But when you're hunting that resident early season, you don't have the benefit of any new birds that might have come in the last day or overnight or whatever that can make a stupid mistake. Those birds have been in that field for 3 weeks. So when somebody busts them off the roost, and it's so frustrating. one lone shot first at shooting light, and you know, most of the time when you see somebody bust a roost, you know, they get 2 or 3 guns in there and they unload.
Yeah.
This to me felt very calculated, and I don't know what the desired result was, but it didn't benefit anybody on our side of the roost hole, that's for sure.
No.
So, you know, it's a frustration, but again, as much as I'll complain about that, you know, any morning where I can go out and spend time in the blind and hunt is better than not doing it. So
Yeah.
I don't have any, you know, I don't harbor any ill will or any regrets about doing it. And, you know, we'll be back out there doing it Monday somewhere. And
That is a nice thing about the panel blind too, or A-frame, whatever you are in, just to sit there and talk. And we've mentioned that before, but to sit there and talk to someone and you're not, you know, straining your neck to see,
right.
you know, how the conversation's going or anything like that. And then, you know, a lot of the people were still awake and they're looking for birds where you don't have people napping and
racking out.
you know, birds sneaking in on you. And for a little surprise if they're supposed to be watching one way.
Yeah. And I can tell you, I don't have any empirical evidence to support this, but I would venture a guess that people are probably going to shoot more accurately out of a blind where they're started sitting up by coming up out of their layout, busting the doors open, getting the shoulder up to, you know, their gun up to their shoulder, making a good sight alignment and making a good shot, where, you know, at that point you're already sitting up in a more, you know, conducive position to get your gun up properly and stuff like that.
And, and not just more accurately, but you can swing.
Yeah.
You know, you can swing to your strong arm wherever your shoulder, and like usually you can't go too far right or else you're bending backwards, where if you're standing up you can turn right around and take care of business if you need to take care of business.
Yeah. And that's what I found myself doing. You know, I had a stool in there, but then when I would hear birds or thought we were going to work something, or when I was standing, I just slid my stool kind of up against the panel on the inside, and I was just going to kneel down and look through that cutout in front and kind of work that way, kind of almost like I would in a pit situation. So
Right.
I really liked that. It's more comfortable, and, you know, particularly on days when you're not pulling the trigger, comfort's kind of the prime consideration. I mean, I'll be uncomfortable to get on a really good shoot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you
I
know.
think that's probably going to be a go-to. Even if the thing is, even if, you know, you're in a swamp or something and have a little flat spot, you can set that up for 1 or 2 guys and really have that, panel block.
And it's an ideal setup for this area, in my opinion, because a lot of fields you're hunting around here are not these, you know, 400 or 500 acre crop fields. You know, they're much smaller. There's wooded tree lines all around, a lot of fence rows, things like that birds are used to being close to and working to. So it's not like you're trying to force them into an area that's unnatural for them within the field. They're always kind of within danger of a goldenrod hedgerow or something that's running down through a field, or a low spot that's brushy or whatever. So there's a lot of opportunity to utilize it around here. I think you'll get a lot of good run out of them this season. And
So here's a question for you, because with those toppers, if you have really tall grass on the front and you're using that topper, once you put that topper down, it bends all that grass, kind of pushes it out forward. I don't want to say makes it look unnatural, but it's a little less than desirable when I was looking at it. So I think definitely if you're out in the middle of a field, I would use the toppers. I think if you're back against a tree line, you don't need them. If you're against a row like we were at today, a fence row, I would still use them, I think. And just keep the grass short on the front.
Yeah, I think that's probably
use it on the topper.
I think that's probably the ticket, just kind of keeping your grass properly length right there where it's going to come down on top of it. And you can get away with longer grass on the topper, and in fact you probably want that, you know, because there's a lot more hard edges and lines on those toppers.
Yeah.
So to kind of cover those, you know, you build in a lot more brush. So I think that, you know, you're probably going to find more instances when you're going to want to use them when you're not, but you definitely can use them full on without them. I mean, it would, if you're, you know, in a situation where you don't have to worry about birds being right on top of you all the time, you can get away with it. And even if you do find yourself in that situation, as long as you're putting longer grass up on the top that, kind of angles and gives you that back over you, that's going to give you some cover. The drawback with that is you got to shoot through that stuff and you got to mat it down and when you're putting your gun up through there and all that kind of stuff that goes with it. But, the toppers are a nice option. I don't think they're an absolute must, but, if you've got them, I can't think of a good reason not to use them if you've got it.
Yeah. I think looking forward down into late season with snow, if we're using those, they do have snow covers. They have snow covers for the top. And I think, if you're in a completely snowed out field, I would think that you would want the topper because the inside of those are, the marshy color where everything's white. And I definitely think you need that, especially depending on the camo, all our stuff, the Sitka, the marsh or timber, and that would stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
So I think in that regard, it's good that we have the toppers. Going to have to get the snow covers, I think.
Yeah. And there's really no way around it, I don't think, in that regard. It's just going to be a black hole that the geese are going to fly over if you don't got a topper on of some kind, because it's going to be dark down in there unless everyone's wearing snow camo and all that kind of stuff too. So those toppers will be, it'll be key, I think, come when the ground's covered in snow.
I tell you what, too, the poles, the stand-up poles, make a huge difference in the stability of that too. I forgot to drop them off last night when everyone was setting them up, and just a big difference. Yeah, it sticks, it kind of separates the shooting holes, but it was definitely nice, and it is a good grip on there. So when you fling that topper open with the weight of the grass on it, it's not going to flop forward either. So that was good.
Yeah, that was a concern we had. What happens when you got 9 guys flipping all these toppers down, and are we going to dump this whole blind the first group that comes in? And I don't, once we got those arms in there, those kickstands or whatever, it was pretty solid. I didn't have any concerns about that happening. Of course, we never did it full speed, but it felt like it was going to be solid enough to get the job done.
So what happened with your license at Walmart?
Yeah. So I get in last night. I didn't get in until like 9:30, I think. So I get to my folks' place, and my son's tired, so we drop him off and get my wife all squared away and everything. And I run up to Walmart because, for whatever reason, I didn't think I could buy one online and print it in Pennsylvania. When I looked online, I just saw 7 to 10 days to mail it, and I knew there were these yellow cards and stuff. So I was like, man, I guess I must have to go and buy it unless I wait for it to be shipped to me, which I didn't have the time. So I run up to Walmart, and by the time I get there, it's probably it's like 10:30, I'd say. And I mean, I stand at the desk in the sporting goods section for, I'm not kidding you, 20 minutes or better. And I'm hitting the little buzzer. I can hear the dispatch being sent out over the radios that someone in sporting goods needed help, all this, that, and the other, and nobody came. So I'm just hanging out waiting. Finally, someone shows up, and they run put my driver's license information in there, and the system keeps saying invalid information. So, make a long story long, we get on the horn with the help center down in Harrisburg to figure out what's going on. And apparently, because I'd been a resident for a while and then a non-resident, and I'd bought different kinds of licenses, I had multiple profiles in the system. So we had to get them to kind of like merge that profile to give me one CID number that would work. So once we had that number, we were in business, and it was like, a done deal. But I just wonder what would have happened if I would have tried to buy that online myself. What if I had the same setup? Because that's essentially what they're doing. They're just entering your information on the website, and they've got like the ability to print it right there on the tag. So that was a debacle. Didn't get home till late, and then stayed up late, kind of shooting the breeze with my folks for a while. So watched the end of the Michigan State Utah State game. Just kind of hanging out, catching up. But
did they have to walk you out front to check out too?
No, they just put a sticky note on the license, and I carried it up front. I had like a little barcode in the binder up there that they can scan and just enter in the amount, and that was it.
Yeah, they walked me out when I had more stuff to buy, so I had to check out twice. The slowest cashier ever, and a line.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. So I did all my stuff that I needed beforehand. I bought like some bug spray and some stuff for my kid that we needed or whatever. So I had my arms full of like all my stuff ready to go, expecting him to walk up with me. And he's just like, yeah, just take this sticky note up there with the license and they'll get you squared away. And I was like, I'm okay. So in the end, it all worked out, got it squared away. But yeah, man, I wish we would have done all that for a few more birds today. But again, it's the way that things go, and can't always predict it. But it seems like the shooting of the roost is becoming a more prevalent issue every year that goes by.
On the opener.
Yeah. So
pretty annoying.
It's frustrating, man. I mean, what are you gonna do though? It's like, I'm not sure I understand the rationale behind it. I mean, yeah, you could kill at most, handful of birds, but you're blowing that roost spot. Those birds are probably going to push out of the area, at least for a while. And if you're hunting a field, all the birds that could work that field, they're gonna be out there because let's say they don't shoot that roost, and let's say they go hit that X again today with people in it. They're not hitting that X again tomorrow and Monday. So, you just kind of, it limits what you can do long term. So my guess is it's just people that don't typically hunt waterfowl and they know the goose opener's there and they could just try to get on a couple and that's that.
Yeah.
So
we're driving past a few spots where we might be able to hunt Monday.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out because I got to go home Monday, so
has to be a quick hunt.
Got it. Yeah, we can't be monkeying around too long, and if we have my son, I really don't want to take him out and get skunked. So it'd be nice to shoot some birds, but at the same time, I'm not super excited about his first hunt being in a field with like 10 guys. So we might work a few things out to see if we can get him a little more, maybe just a couple guns right around him so it's not quite as alarming and all that kind of stuff. Because, we talk about getting kids involved and stuff, and as I've said, my son hasn't been overly excited about hunting. He's been kind of like wishy-washy about it. So he said he'd go, and this is kind of a pivotal hunt. If it's a bad experience for him, we're gonna have a hard time getting him back on. But the spot we see right now that we're driving by is holding probably what?
I bet they're all over the backside.
40 to 50 that
we can see
up in the pasture. So if we could get in there, then we would be able to. This is a three bird area where we were hunting this morning at 8 bird limit. But at this point, talking about the bird limit's kind of not making much. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. We find one to kill, we probably better off going after that. So, but like I said, we haven't hunted together in 3 years, and obviously we got a couple opportunities to right that wrong this season. So I will say it's been a while since every time I turned around in the blind, I've got a different camera pointing right in my face. So
either a cell phone or my regular camera.
A lot of shutterbug activity going on in that blind this morning.
That's what it's about.
No, when you're not shooting birds, you don't got much else to do. But
I'll tell you what, I would be to ease T-Dub in even more, just willing to do a little camera action and not even, just have you shoot and I can do video or whatever.
Well, I mean, if we end up in a one bird's area hunting, we could take turns, like, just one comes in, maybe him and I watch you shoot one, and then the next one comes in, Of course, we're going to wait till banded ones come in, so,
might be.
But I think it'd be cool, maybe let some land, let them see them up close and kind of, get that kind of deal figured out. But
I'd just like to see birds within a mile of where we're set up.
Yeah, particularly ones that we have, particularly setups that we can hunt, because even right now we're kind of like not sure about that spot we just passed, if we're going to be able to hunt it or not. So it'd be nice to find another spot or two that's holding birds that we can hunt. And that way we just, can check them tomorrow and see, what they're doing. And the thing about it here is, back home in Virginia where I'm hunting most of the time, we hunt most of our early goose season is hunt on water, in these loafing ponds that these birds hit. And here it seems like the loafing ponds aren't quite as much as common, and the birds get out in the field a lot more.
Yeah, there's truth to that, and we actually had a pond lined up that if we didn't get much shooting this morning that we could go to, but that was another one of the sole permission, but then the neighbor walked in and he claimed he had permission years ago, so he felt he had the right to hunt it today, and I think he did pretty well from what I heard. So
right, and that's a tough situation too, because you don't want to go back to the landowner and get them out of bed and argue with them or about anything, because all that's going to do is they're going to say, well, then you're not, forget it, you're not hunting.
Yeah, no one's.
So,
and that's a pain, because I mean the distance between those two spots, I mean, it's not huge, but I mean, you're talking a 40-minute drive, 30-minute drive.
Right.
Where when you're scouting you're scouting the field in the morning, and then you're running back to a loaf pond just to make sure that the birds are still showing up as a plan B.
Right.
And then, someone else is watching it too. But who knows? They might have permission, they might not.
Yeah. It's all part of the deal, and this isn't an area where leasing is a prevalent thing, at least for waterfowl. And, I think you'd probably like to keep it that way ideally, but one of the trade-offs with that is going to be, you're just going to have situations like this where sometimes what you think is sole access isn't sole access, and, you just got to kind of overcome that. And
here's something that one of the guys in the group was asking about, and he has permission from his buddy's uncle or something on a piece of property, and so does a game warden. So the game warden archery hunts while he goes down to the swamps and duck hunts. The game warden has checked this guy twice in the same day before. The second time he was in all camo, binos and everything, and as he was walking back to his truck, he kind of just stepped out and checked him again.
Huh.
So, if someone does have permission to archery hunt, would that deter you from going into, say, a woody hole, or, if there's mallards in there, going and hitting that up?
No, it wouldn't deter me one bit. The fact that it's a game warden, you better make sure you got your stuff together. But I think the right answer is to try to coordinate with them. Just say like, hey, I'm whenever you're trying to get in there, and I mean, of course, if the guy's always hunting or always telling you he's going to be in there hunting, at some point you got to say like, okay, I'm going in to hunt too.
Yeah.
I've got your permission's not any better than my permission. Hopefully that doesn't turn into a situation where that warden goes to the landowner and tries to undercut your access. But it's kind of BS that he's checking them multiple times in a day,
and the one he got camoed up for.
Yeah.
But that's what I said. I got a couple buddies that I could name off that have shot really nice bucks in archery season when he hears shotguns blasting at the swamp not too far away. I was like, that might kick those deer out that otherwise would have never left. But I also said, I think I'd get the guy's number and just say, I'll be down there. So he said the guy lives within a couple miles, so if he's shooting, he usually shows up to check them. And I said that might have been a situation where the landowner says, if I give you permission, I want to make sure nothing illegal is going on, so just check anyone else that's on there.
Right.
Which still doesn't give him I guess he has the right to do it, but to check more than once in a day is a little much.
I mean, I think the question is, was that warden trying to intimidate this guy to not hunt in there because he was using his position and power to make it tough on him? If that's what he's doing, that's BS. But we don't know the whole deal, and may never. But I will tell you, I've had experiences in the past deer hunting that people walking through the woods, walking through my set. I had someone set up and target shoot their 22 within like 200 yards of me in the woods one time when I was archery hunting. And on that day, they pushed an 8-point buck to me that I shot at 5 yards with them sighting in their 22. So it's just one of those things where you just never know what's going to happen, and it can frustrate you to no end, but sometimes, crazy stuff happens, and you just...
Might help you.
Yeah, you just never know. So always kind of be open-minded and just kind of think about it, I guess.
So right now we're driving around looking at other spots, and the way PA's set up and where we grew up and where I still live is a 1 bird a day zone. And it's a St. James Bay population zone, so kind of checking it out.
It's one bird for the resident season.
Yep.
And then for...
It goes to 3.
3, and then when it opens up. When does November?
Yeah, it goes out.
The second split or whatever?
And it'll come back in.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe it's best we break here for now and focus on finding some birds and record
at least we can
tomorrow
see how this,
or Monday, and this will give us a chance to see how our road recording went, and we're testing out this new equipment, so see how that functions, and hopefully we'll be able to, if not include this in this week's episode, maybe this will be a little supplement release at some point, or we'll just have to see what we can get into, but
no bonus.
So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully next time you hear from us, it'll be
bang bang.
Yeah, talking about birds and all that good stuff. So we'll catch you then.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that little breakdown of our morning hunt. Again, we know that the audio is not what you're accustomed to hearing, and it could be a little harder to get through. So, we're interested to hear your feedback, and hopefully, this is something that we can do throughout the season on occasion as we hunt a few more times together and all that kind of stuff. But how far are we in on this episode, Dan, without that?
27 and a half.
Okay, so we're like an hour almost for this episode total right now. But I'm still sweating. Your house is warm up here on this level.
It's still hot.
Yeah.
So after you heard that, and I've had farmers come into fields before, but that was the first time that they were spreading poo. So that kind of just added, insult to injury, and definitely was a little bit different. But I'd be interested to hear some stories that people have of, either farmers or landowners kind of disrupting hunts, or cows. You have cows coming into pastures all the time, and after that, after we stopped recording, we found, another 300-400 birds in a field?
Yeah, we found that one field that's got quite a few birds in it, but I think that's in the 1 bird limit.
It is.
Area. So, you kind of hate to
educate.
To bust a group like that. But, in theory, you could dump the first flock and maybe even get out before they get in there real good. But there was a lot of birds in that field. And we saw birds probably coming and going from that field. The birds we saw in the air were probably in that
Without
field.
a doubt.
So they're still kind of lumped up real good right now. And, that field would be probably something more consistent with what I'd expect to see in the late season.
Yeah.
That was a big group of local birds for us here, I thought.
Yeah, it was. And that's what, kind of what we were thinking we were going to get into the first day, or at least the amount, and there's no way that we saw that amount.
Right. And I'm not even sure, because the scout was saying that there was about 300 hitting the X.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, even with the birds getting blown off the roost like that we saw 300 birds total.
No.
I don't think we saw anywhere near that. But we do know that 100 of them potentially they might have roosted somewhere else because they hadn't been hitting that field that we're going to be in on Monday, and they were in there Saturday morning.
And 100 Sunday. Yeah. Well,
so if there was 100 birds in that field, that could have total got us to about 300 that we were talking. So I think the setup will be very similar. And we'll be in the game at least, hopefully. And we'll have to see just how it goes. Hopefully there's, what I'm hoping for is, it was just kind of weird that day. We talked about it, but there's just not a lot of shooting around at all. So our setup might get better just if there's more hunters out, or if there's some more shooting. Because we didn't even get, normally when those resident geese get banged on a little bit, we'll get random pairs, 2s, 3s, 5s, family groups that are flying around looking for somewhere to go because the field they were just going to just got shot in or shot up. So maybe we'll get some more fringe flocks that we'll be able to work into our area and have success with.
Yeah, I'm excited that tomorrow, is Labor Day. People are off, and I'm looking for see what kind of weather we're gonna. No, tomorrow's hot too.
Yeah, it's gonna be hot again.
87. Today was 86. Tuesday 88. Wednesday 89.
Yeah. No cool down in sight, and I'm sure it's the same for Virginia too. And we've got our archery doe season opened up this past Saturday, so I'll be out next weekend trying to put some meat in the freezer, get some jerky going and stuff like that. So
yeah, Taylor should definitely be plenty comfortable, warm, heat wise.
Oh yeah,
71 at 5 a.m.
Yeah, I don't think temperature is going to be an issue, and that's something that we talked about. I think on like the very first episode of the show that we ever recorded about the early season being a good time to get either new hunters exposed to the outdoors, or seniors, or people that are too old to get out when it's too cold and things like that. This is a great time for them because Saturday morning, it was nice. There was a little breeze. It was really comfortable until the sun got up and got too warm.
Yeah.
So,
man. Here's my deep breath for the episode.
Yep. Brent.
I think he's the one that always calls me out.
Oh, is that right?
But, yeah, that was good. That was a good inhale, exhale right there.
I'm excited about editing this episode because I won't have to go through and listen to every single thing we say. And, yeah, take out lip smacks and, like microphone hits and all this kind of stuff. I'm just going to lay them on top of each other and call it good for the most part.
I hear Kimber trying to open the door in there.
Yeah.
It's a sliding door.
I heard her, too. Is she whining?
She is whining.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought that sounded like a kid. Well, she's a child. Maybe that's our sign to wrap it up. You got one more thing you want to hit before we close it?
Yeah, my wife, I was talking to her the other day, and I ended my sentence with, and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And she's like, next episode, ask Josh how many times that you say that during an episode.
You say whatnot a fair amount.
Do I?
Yeah. Whatnot is a go-to.
It's a go-to.
That's the thing. It's easy to it's so easy to nitpick like personal crutches, particularly like for me because I'm sitting there listening to every single thing that both of us say, and like for me, if I say something like optic all the time, I can just stop saying it and replace it with being fired up, or whatever. But I feel like a jerk when I'm always like, Dan, can you stop doing this or can you stop doing that? Like,
quit the lip smack.
Well, for a while it was you didn't have over the ear earphones, so when the way we had to record it, I could hear my voice from your earbuds hitting your mic, and it would create like an echo. So I would have to delete every dead air time when you weren't talking because it was an echo of my voice coming through your earbuds.
Dude, this is taking so long. Can you please get new headset?
I mean, I begged you to do it.
I'm like, all right.
But I've left the whatnot alone.
Oh, she brought that up. I was like, I do not say whatnot a lot. She's like, yeah, you do. Ask Josh next episode. And I was like, I'll do that. I will check it out.
Sorry to breathe the bear of bad news, man.
No. So what else are you doing while you're up here?
Took my boy swimming in the lake today. Got some ice cream a couple different times. My wife's favorite spot, Hank's.
She loves Hank's.
We hit that, yep.
There's a guy in the group that was at the Fireman's Beach. That's where you went?
That's where we went swimming today.
It looks nice.
Yeah, they did a nice job there. Yep. Lake's busy. Labor Day, so a lot going on. And we got Hank's again, and then just spending some time with the fam, man. I haven't seen my folks in like a year. My brother and his wife are here with my nephew, so they're just kind of hanging out, and we've been grilling and just cooking out, and drinking Busch Lights and just kind of hanging out. So it's been good.
Just bringing it back.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is, home. But just don't get up here as much as I'd like. I wish I could.
There's my lip smack.
Yeah.
It is too. It's not even like a.
Yeah,
it just happens.
The technique is when you're not talking, you have to just sit there with your mouth hanging open. That way your lips can't smack when they.
It's more of like a. It's not even my lips.
You don't need to replicate the sound. I can see you making them.
That's awful. No, but this is a great time of year. You know, we got the first hunt out of the way. It didn't go well. Second hunt coming up, and then you're just looking, like you were saying, chasing deer around last night in the spotlight. PA, that's legal. It's not legal most other places.
Right.
You have to be done by 11 p.m. But, you know, people in the blind, do you seen any big bucks lately? And, you know, I haven't even had cameras out yet, so I'm a little behind in that one, but just a great time of year. Once this heat goes away, it's gonna be on.
Yeah, the heat makes it tough. I think that everyone kind of battles that, and about the only thing I can do hunting wise in the heat and kind of accept the fact that it's super hot is a dove hunt. You know, that's kind of part of the deal. You sit under a shady tree or something, and you
seen a lot of dead doves.
Yeah, guys on the group are pounding the doves, man. They're wearing them out.
And there's a lot of good goose openers and teal.
Yep.
So I saw that one up in Michigan, 72, I think they put on the ground, and yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the amount of posts that have just shifted to hunting related in the group is
in one day
is awesome. Yeah, so I love it.
It's getting a little chippy there at the.
I mean, that's going to happen when you go. You know, when you're adding, we're adding like 600 and some people in that group a month on average, and you know we're up over 5,000 now, and 95% of the conversation is good quality. You know, lighthearted banter or useful waterfowl discussion, and every once in a while, you know, somebody gets in there that wants to be a jerk, and when we find them, we boot them. But for the most part, it's a really good spot, and we're really proud of what that's turned into. And a lot of people have been given help through that group, not just you know, with information, but people that get in a bad way for whatever reason need help. You know, that group has answered the bell multiple times. So really cool to see that and be a part of, and just appreciate everybody in there. So if you're not in there, head over to our Facebook group, check it out. It's linked to our Facebook company page, and you know, ask for request permission to get in there, and we'll let you in, and you know, we'll let you into the conversation. So
Kimber just went out in the worst way.
Yeah, she's having some kind of issue in there. So you got anything else you want to hit here before we kind of wrap up?
No, man.
Hopefully next time we're on here, dude, we got some kills to talk about.
Yeah.
You know,
in August, just crushed in terms of download numbers.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good thing. That's an interesting thing to bring up, because August typically is when we see a big spike, because you know, people are gearing up for season. But we saw that big spike in like May and June this year.
Yeah.
Big jumps.
And August was double June.
Yeah. Full double? Like completely double?
Right under double.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that big. Yeah. Yeah. So really cool. Glad everyone's getting excited. And I think, you know, the growth has been awesome. And we're going to hopefully just keep doing that. And, you know, these last couple, you know, this episode is, you know, more kind of like our personal experiences as far as what we got going on hunting wise. But we've got some, you know, some good interviews lined up, some good people. We're trying to hit some things that, you know, you and I don't necessarily have like any kind of I don't even want to say expertise, but any kind of experience doing. So, you know, we're getting people on here to talk about hunting specs and things like that. You know, try to hit some things that, you know, people around the country will be able to relate to that we can't, because we don't hunt them. So it'll be as much of a learning experience for us as anybody, you know, when we get guys like that on the show. So definitely stuff that we're working on, and, you know, we're going to keep plugging away here and getting at it.
Before you know it, we'll be in Kansas. Yeah,
that'll be looking forward to that hunt. I mean, if you guys, Ben, who's got his outfit up in Kansas or up in Canada running, first 2 days have been freaking beat downs, man. I mean,
I think 7 or 8 man limits of geese and ducks both days.
Yeah, just doing great stuff up there. So, you know, if you're looking for a spot to go in Kansas,
Prairie Limits Outfitters, and if you're in our Facebook group, he gives discounts. So
yeah, check them out. Definitely get in.
You can go up this year. Still,
I'm already telling Dan that I want to get up there next year. So
book it.
Oh, Toe Tap said he is out for tomorrow because he's too much due to prep for Colorado.
Tell him it's just a couple hours.
I might have to stop by the house, talk to him,
talk when to do it.
But anyway. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. But before we do, just want to take a minute to thank Lifetime Decoys, Gunner Kennels, Decoy Carts LLC, 737 Duck and Goose Calls, Big Al Silhouette Decoys, Camp Chef, Black Rifle Coffee Company, Native Eyewear, and Yukonuba. Thank you to the companies that support this show. If you're in the market for anything that these companies offer, definitely consider them when making your purchase decision. Also head over to the HP page and check out all the discounts so we can save you some cash with some of those companies. Those companies were awesome enough to make those available to our listenership, so definitely make sure you take the time to check them out and use what you can. Do it for episode 98. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing about our first day experience or lack thereof, and enjoyed hearing some talk from the truck right after the Scout. If you are new to the show or like to catch up on any of the past episodes, you can do so at iTunes. If you're over there, we appreciate 5-star ratings and reviews. Helps other people just like you find our show. We're heading back out here tomorrow. Hopefully we've got better news to report the next time. So for Dan, I'm Josh. Take care.